Peter Blexley, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, Governor.
I mean, as if you needed any encouragement to think that people who are in the world of show business are a little bit unhinged from the world. Katy Perry went up to the space yesterday and she spent no more than 4 minutes of intense pleasure up there, came back and talked about how much in love she was with it, how amazing it all was, and she's talking as if she's Neil Armstrong or Buzz Aldrin, you know, landing on the moon, first people planting a flag. She was in space for 4 minutes. She's got longer songs than that.
Who's Katy Perry?
Sorry, my apologies. She used to be married to Russell Brand.
I knew
We're not
that
allowed to
bit.
talk about him because obviously he's up for some charges that we can't get into at the moment. You know, sub judice and all that.
Always got a lot to say for himself, though, that fella, hasn't he?
He's not shy, is he?
No.
Yeah, so she's the ex-missus of Russell Brand. Apart from that, she's a pop singer.
Is she?
Yeah. Would you like to have a look at what she said about going up into the space on the Blue Origin flight?
Only if I must.
All right, you must, I think, because it's the only chink of light that we can have a laugh at, I think, this morning. Have a look.
What you're doing is you're like really finding the love for yourself, because you got to trust in yourself on this journey. And then you're feeling the love when you come down, for sure. And you're feeling that strength. So I feel really connected to that strong, divine feminine right now.
God bless her. I mean, listen, you've got to give her the credit of supplying the love to this show. And I mean, never mind about the famine in Africa or, you know, the Gaza war or Ukraine or anything like that.
Yeah.
Just share the love.
Straight out of the Meghan playbook,
Isn't it?
Really.
Isn't it? It's hilarious.
Mean, they're just like carbon copies of each other, talking absolute, unmitigated drivel.
Garbage. Absolute garbage. I feel a podcast coming on. In fact, Meghan will probably have him straight in the studio to do her new, you know, podcast. Because what's she now doing? You know, women as architects or something. There's 5 women went up into space, right? Jeff Bezos, the man who paid for it all, sent his wife up, which tells you something about their marriage, doesn't it? I think he was hoping she wouldn't come back. Yeah. But obviously we can't say that because that would be wrong. Here's Gayle King, who's the woman who is a mate of Oprah Winfrey's and I think is also a friend of Meghan's as well. Here's what she had to say about Katy Perry singing in space.
It's very difficult because you're floating, but the best part was when we got back in our seats after 0 G's, Katy sang "What a Wonderful World."
She did?
Isn't that nice?
Oh, come on.
She sang "What a Wonderful World." I see dreams. Oh, yes.
Oh.
Because we'd been asking her to sing all the time, and she wouldn't.
Yeah. It's a complicated life, isn't it? When you've got more money than sense.
I mean,
it's amazing. 4 minutes of absolute intense pleasure. I don't know what I can do to describe it.
The benefits to humanity that we've all gathered from them going up into space for 4 minutes. I mean, we're very fortunate.
I mean, here we are on the brink of discovering a cure for cancer. Yeah. And in some ways, this is more important.
These courageous women have gone up there.
Risking it all.
Yeah, absolutely. Without a thought for themselves.
Yes.
None at all. For the benefit of humanity. Yeah. They've gone up there.
And they're definitely not going to, in any way, sort of, you know, capitalise on it for money or anything.
No, absolutely.
That won't happen.
No, or attention or anything like that. And she's gone up there and quite selflessly destroyed one of Louis Armstrong's greatest songs. Was it Louis Armstrong?
It was, I see trees of green. Also, you're in space. There are no trees of green. If you're seeing trees of green, you've been dropping too many acid pills, to be honest. Here's another one from Aisha Bowe, a NASA engineer.
I just feel a renewed connection to everything in life and where we are, and I can't wait to go back out there and pour what I've learned into the world.
You have given so much to so many, and I know there are a lot of people watching right now, some young boys and some young girls that are inspired constantly by you. What would you like to say to them?
Dream it, plan it, and go and do it. I never really thought I could go to space, although I really wanted to go. And today just confirmed that dreams are real, and sometimes reality is wrong.
Sometimes reality is wrong. I'm not sure that's a good lesson for young women and girls, because you can imagine Keir Starmer going, young women and girls will be looking up at those people and going, oh, wow, you know, she's a woman. You know, he's on holiday, by the way, not in space, unfortunately.
I must never, ever go to America again, clearly, because if these women are kind of like a sample of what they spout over there, I think eventually, after I've stopped laughing, I'm going to get irritated by it all.
It is an interesting country in many ways. I mean, I've got, of course, as you know, many connections there. My mother lived there for many years. My sister does live there. One of my sons lives there. But nobody's in any doubt about how ridiculous it can sometimes be. When I first went there, and back in the 80s, when I used to meet people, particularly outside of New York, in the sort of boondocks, as you might call them, you know, places like Minneapolis or, you know, Detroit or even Chicago, people would come up to me and go, "Is it really foggy in London?"
Right.
And I'd go, "Yeah, absolutely, all the time. Can't see the hand, you know, at the end of your arm." And they would believe you because, you know, they're sort of charmingly naive about things in many ways.
But that one who's actually from NASA, you know, so probably.
I mean, she's a NASA
knowledge.
engineer, and I'm sorry to allege that, you know, she might have been put in there because, one, she was a woman, and two, she was a woman of colour. But she doesn't sound like a scientist to me.
Well, what she did say was she's going to pour what she's learned into the world.
Yeah.
Aren't we lucky?
Right.
4 minutes of learning.
And apparently sometimes reality isn't reality.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a bit worrying for me if you're a scientist.
Dreams do come true, she says. Yeah.
Trees are green. Anyway, the good news is Katy Perry's going to write a song about it all.
Oh, brilliant.
So, you know, I'll let you know when that comes out.
Yeah, because I've never listened to any of her songs previously.
Have you not?
So
it's a shame we can't play any, but we're not allowed to because, you know...
Oh, please don't.
No, I'd like to play you California Girls, which is a great song of hers, but unfortunately we're not allowed to.
A great song of hers. Are you convincing me now that I've got to go and listen to this?
You should listen to it because it will give you a sort of a window into her personality and her songwriting capabilities.
On Tuesday, April the 15th, 2025, do I really need this in my life, Mike?
No.
Right, thank you.
No,
I just needed clarity on that.
You don't have to do it. But I'll tell you what we need to do is talk about the front page of The Sun. Britain is broken. Inside on page 10, we're going to talk to Ross Clark later on the show. He's got Britain as a laughing stock of the world. Yeah. This is a really interesting actual observation poll that The Sun has organised. Voters are demanding radical reform of immigration, the NHS and the economy. A shocking 66% of people think the country is heading in the wrong direction. I would say they've all been listening to this show, because if you've listened to this show for long enough, you'll know that all of those things are the problem.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Are they not?
Yeah, indeed. And this was people surveyed in the Midlands and the north of England.
That's right, outside of London.
Yep, indeed. And of course, anybody who has the misfortune to live in this once great city and travel through it frequently, like I do, will see evidence of how it's broken on a daily basis. The lawlessness, the crime, the garbage and all of that kind of thing. So now our impressions of it, my impressions of this country, are being reinforced by our friends in the Midlands and the North. And as the front page of The Sun says, fury at government in red wall seats. UK is going in the wrong direction. Yeah. Absolutely. And borders, the NHS and the economy all failing.
Yes. And when you look inside at some of the things that people care about, which area needs the most radical reform? Immigration, 32%, NHS, 31%, economy, 18%. The three biggest things that we've been saying for a long time. You know, for years and years and years under the Conservatives, we used to say to any Tory minister that came on, you know, do you not understand that people care about the immigration problem in this country? Do you not understand that people are seeing the way that Britain's the cities are changing, the towns are changing? People, even just this last weekend, were telling me, wandering through Hastings, they're now seeing visibly a change in the demographic of the people who are there. They're seeing, you know, people, you know, young men hanging around on street corners, you know, smoking cigarettes, harassing women. They tend to be of Syrian appearance or Afghan appearance or African appearance. These are not people that were in Hastings even 5 years ago.
If anybody wants to join me in central London, where we are now, for example, I can take you 10, 15 minutes from here and you will not think you are in the UK. Yeah. You seriously will think, what country have I been transported to?
It is extraordinary.
There are enclaves, sizable, huge enclaves of people that don't look, sound, dress or behave like we do.
Yeah, exactly right. How about this? Is Britain broken? Yes, 68%. No, 23%. Don't know, 9%. I don't know. I never know where those people have come from. Yeah. Who best represents the views of working people? Nigel Farage, 30%. Keir Starmer, 22%, Kemi Badenoch, 10%, don't know, 10%, none of them, 28%. So actually more people think nobody represents them than they think Keir Starmer represents them. And Nigel Farage comes out of this poll very well because on the vote share, they say which way you're going to vote with upcoming elections soon, 2 weeks away, 30% for Reform, 27% for Labour, 22% for the Conservatives, 9% for the Greens, 10% for the Lib Dems. Reform are smashing this, you know.
And there he was down in Exeter yesterday. Yeah. Getting around his old Nigel, spreading the word and seeing that he's popular almost everywhere he goes.
Yeah, I mean, no matter what people try to do to take him down, and he's had a bit of local difficulty, you might say, with the Rupert Lowe scenario, but that's all seemingly gone away. Nobody cares about that. Nigel Farage for Prime Minister. Who would make the best Prime Minister? Nigel Farage, 26%. Starmer, 25%. Kemi Badenoch, 12%. Don't know, 12%. None of the above, 25%. So once again, none of the above equals the same level as Keir Starmer.
And that's the demographic that Nigel Farage and all politicians will be aiming at. Yeah. Those floating voters, those undecided voters, because they invariably are the ones that swing general elections one way or another. Right. That's fairly small percentage. But that's a large percentage now compared to usual polls. You normally have none of the above would be a much smaller number. Right. But, of course, people are so disaffected with the way this country is running. People have not forgotten or forgiven the Tories for everything that they got wrong. Yeah. People are living the Labour...
Which was a lot, by the way.
Which was a lot. Right. People are living the Labour nightmare here and now, and everybody's going, what is going to get us out of this mess? And I think not only politically do we have huge problems, but I think culturally we've got massive problems in so much as that the useless seem to get promoted into positions of power and authority. And not only are they useless, but they're intolerant. Yes. And they impose DEI doctrines and ideology on people. And they are utterly intolerant of anybody who offers a differing or a dissenting view. Right. And of course, every good boss wants differing and dissenting views.
You would think.
Because it's from those that you actually learn and embrace.
But in this week alone, we've heard that the West Yorkshire Police have been operating a policy where white recruits are actively discouraged from applying for jobs. We've got the NHS saying that they absolutely happily promote people from ethnic minorities. And this morning we've got a story on the front page of the Telegraph saying that the NHS has admitted that they actually fast-track ethnic minorities to top jobs to meet diversity quotas. And more people who listen to this show and watch this show and have done for many years, or even if they're newbies, have come on and said, what is going on? Why is it that this government and this country seems to denigrate and punish white, British, working class people at the expense of almost anybody else?
Yeah, and people joining police forces like Thames Valley and West Yorkshire are now being taught about slavery, about white privilege. Yeah. You know, I lived in a flat when I was a teenager with my single mum. Right. Tell me what white privilege I've had. Yeah. You know, if I'd sat down in Endon Training School back in the day and been taught that kind of nonsense, I'd have thought, what on earth is going on?
I lived in a flat when I was at uni where we had an electricity meter, and if nobody had any money, when the electricity went off, it just went off. Yeah. And you sat there for the rest of the night and hoped that in the morning somebody would come up with some way of making some money. So you could actually put the electricity on and cook some breakfast.
Remember those strikes back in the 70s when we had to sit round candles?
Absolutely right.
For any light and warmth, it was all we had.
That's why I learned to speak in the way that I do, because there was no other entertainment. Just had to keep taking the mickey out of my dad. It was the only thing I could do until he whacked me. You know, but there we are. Listen, at 19 minutes past 6, we got lots to talk about. This from Lord Damon, who says this from Wigan. Here, Britain is broken. We all know that. The way the British are treated in our own country. Mike and Peter, in your 100% honest opinion, what do you think we can do to sort this country in a way that treats all of us in equal measure? Do you think the United Kingdom is completely gone and there is no way back? Well, I don't, actually. I think there is a way back, and I think one of the things that we do is we continue to have these conversations on channels like this, and we influence what it is that the powers that be do, because we get to talk to them in ways that other people don't.
I completely agree. I think there is a very, very serious problem amongst the intellectual, the university-educated elite, if you will. I think over the years, the blue-collar jobs that used to be the bedrock of this society have been downtrodden and destroyed to the point of being
sold off to the Chinese, quite frankly.
Extinct, many of them. You know, back in the day when I was growing up as a youngster, men predominantly, and of course more women were coming into the workplace, but a man could have a blue-collar job in a factory.
And be very proud of it, by the way.
Very proud of it, and could aspire, because they earned a decent wage, to have a nice 3-bed semi, a car on the drive, and have a good summer holiday every year. And all of that has been absolutely destroyed. Take, for example, retail. Okay, a job, a profession that used to be a meritocracy and not an aristocracy. There are people sitting in boardrooms of the big retailers that started on the shop floor. And that's why I love the retail sector. Absolutely love it and have a passion for it, and I worked in it. It was my first job. What has happened is, in those days, somebody on the shop floor, they knew that the CEO of the company might earn 6 times what they earn. Right? But they'd accept it. That person had climbed.
But they'd also aspire to be that man.
Exactly, and they'd like to. They want to be perhaps head of department next, and then head of a floor, and then regional, and all that kind of stuff. But now, of course, you've got CEOs of these companies, and they're on like 60 or 600 times what the floor worker is earning. So that kind of disparity is utterly, utterly perverse. We've got too many very, very, very rich people. I mean, who needs to be a billionaire? Who needs that money? And why is there not more money in the blue-collar jobs that were and should be the bedrock of this society? And while I'm on it, another passion of mine, construction. Look what Blair did when he let thousands of Poles and other Eastern Europeans into the country. So my mates who were chippies, sparks, plumbers, plasterers and all of that went from them earning $175 a day. We're getting undercut by Poles who do it for £80 a day and live 10 to a room and all that kind of stuff. And now they want to build 1.5 million homes, and of course they haven't got the chippies and the sparks and the plumbers and all of that, because they've downgraded their jobs.
Because they've all gone somewhere else. Listen, it's a very passionate speech, and I agree with every single word of it.